So on today's podcast, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be joined by my friend and my employee, Desiree. Desiree is our social media manager here at Youn Plastic Surgery, and we are going to cover hot topics in plastic surgery today. We're going to talk about certain celebrities. We're going to talk about some of the stuff going on in the office and what I've recently had done. And she may reveal some interesting things about herself as well. So something we're going to do a little bit differently today. This is going to be fun and entertaining, and I hope you really enjoy it. Welcome to the podcast, Desiree.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited.
So Desiree has worked for me. How long have you worked for me now?
It was July of last year, so coming up on
almost
a year.
Oh, yeah. Wow. And so she was hired as a social media manager. Yes. She helps at front desk. Mm-hmm. She goes into the rooms with me when I see female patients. Mm-hmm. So she's learning a lot about plastic surgery. She is also are you a millennial or Gen Z?
I'm 26, so I don't really know where I fall. I was born 98.
Justin, is that it?
I think it might be millennial. It might be millennial.
I feel like sadly. You may be like the tail
border
end of millennial. And so she's been with me almost a year, and if you've watched our TikTok videos and stuff, she's on quite a bit of it. And so she'll be joining me here every so often. We'll be chatting all about stuff. I want to start today's podcast, though, with some stuff. If you've been following me on my social media, you may have seen a video where I had Botox injected to turn my permanent frown upside down. So in my family, my dad has a perma-frown. My grandpa, who has passed, had a major perma-frown. And I see that happen to me as I get older. And honestly, it's like one of my great fears, appearance-wise. Like, obviously, there are bigger fears in life of like people not being healthy in my family and stuff like that. But one of my biggest fears appearance-wise, that I'm going to end up with this like perma-frown. And I already started noticing it. And so recently I had Botox done to it. And it was interesting because it's the first time I had it done. They inject literally 2.5 units under each corner of the mouth. Have you had this?
I have not, no, but I've seen it done.
Yeah. And so initially I didn't really see anything with it. And then all of a sudden I woke up one morning, and it's not like I looked any different, but I literally could not move my corners of my mouth down. Like, it was really bizarre. Like, I'm trying like this. I'm going to try to do it here. And if you're listening to the podcast, what I'm doing is I'm literally trying to frown, and I can't. Can I frown? Like, does it look like I'm frowning?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it's like crazy. It's so weird. Now, if you get Botox done in your forehead or in the frown lines and stuff, usually you can feel the area. There's like a little bit of a heaviness there.
Yes. Yeah.
You've had Botox.
Mm-hmm.
But this was weird because there's no heaviness. It's like I'm paralyzed there. Like, if I try to move it, I can't move it. It just is really strange.
It's just stuck.
It feels like it's stuck, but it seems like it's working. And the fear I had was that I'd have this like weird Jack Nicholson type of a smile from Batman. Do you know what I'm talking about? Jack Nicholson's Joker in Batman.
Oh, yeah,
he had this big, mm-hmm. And luckily it doesn't look like that, but it's been kind of I've actually been really happy with it. Have you noticed it?
I mean,
does it look weird on me?
No, I mean, it looks natural. It doesn't look like you had anything.
Can you tell that I've had it?
No, I mean, do you want it to look like you had it done?
You're like, what answer are you looking for?
It all depends, yeah.
Don't worry, your job is not in jeopardy if you say it looks like crap.
I think it looks good, honestly.
Dude, you look like a Carnival Funhouse version of yourself.
No, you don't look like the Joker. You look good.
So this was something that's been interesting, and actually I think it's been something I think I'll stick with. I also had Botox done here in my frown lines too,
mm-hmm.
which I don't know. I am plus minus with it. Sometimes I can see in my own videos that it changes how my eyebrows look. Where do you get Botox?
I get it in my forehead and then my frown lines as well. And I feel like I'm very expressive, so I don't feel like it really works in the frown lines because I'm like
working
scowling.
Right now, right?
Kind of, but I feel like you can still kind of see it.
You can't see anything.
But I cannot move my eyebrows.
No, there's nothing. Yeah, there's no movement.
I can't move them up.
Can you lift your eyebrows up?
No, I'm trying my hardest right now.
So they froze your forehead.
Yeah.
Do you like
Daxxify.
the frozen forehead?
I don't like it as frozen, but I like that you can't see anything. But it's like I'd rather have a little bit of movement.
Yeah, look at that. You're hardly moving.
Stuck.
Look, Justin, she hardly is moving. So if you get Botox done, the most common areas that you can do it are like where Desiree and I both had in the frown lines. Mm-hmm. And then I don't do the forehead because I know then like my eyebrows would be all funked and jacked up. But yours look good.
Thank you.
But if you do have Botox done, and let's say you've got already a fairly low forehead, and they try to freeze most of it like they've done with you, then your brows can drop really low. I don't know if have you seen that?
I've noticed it on my left eyebrow this time.
Did you?
Feel like they're usually like a little bit higher up, but now this one I've noticed it's more of like a straight line instead of like an arch.
So you're going to have them do it differently next time?
Maybe. You're like, I don't know, maybe don't do as much. But
so the big thing if you're considering having Botox is that in the forehead, it will definitely change how your eyebrows look. And so if you're going to do it for the first time, I don't know, my recommendation is, I'm not sure what you tell your friends, but my recommendation is start with, let's say, just the frown lines and or the crow's feet and hold off on the forehead until you're more of a Botox veteran. That's kind of my feeling. Where else do you have it done, or just those areas?
Just those areas, and sometimes I get a lip flip, and that's difficult. You can't drink out of a straw.
Just with the lip flip?
Yeah. I cannot do it. I have to drink out of like the side of a straw. I can't
Really?
if I try to drink out of a straw regularly, the water like spews out. And it goes all over the place like a water gun, honestly.
So the Botox lip flip is something I don't think I've talked about on the podcast before, but basically it's injections of the tiniest amount of Botox right at the Cupid's bow, which is your upper lip. And for some reason, and I honestly don't understand the mechanism of it, but it causes your lip to kind of flip out, I guess, a bit. So it looks like your upper lip is fuller than it really is. And it really, for those people, if you've ever had injections of filler into your lips, it hurts like hell. Have you had lip filler?
No.
Yeah.
No filler.
Yeah. I don't like doing it because I just feel bad when I'm injecting people and they're just like, straining because like it hurts so much. But this is a way to get that done. It doesn't hurt as much. It's super easy. 2 tiny little pokes there usually. And you can flip that lip out.
And they ice it before too, so it's not like as painful, but it's definitely more painful like than the forehead. Yeah. Just because it's so thin.
And so Desiree has mentioned Daxxify. Daxxify is the newest botulinum toxin on the market. It is made from a company called Revance. And this product has been in the pipeline for many years. It is touted as a longer lasting Botox, essentially. Like the studies show it lasts upwards of 6 months. And that's actually what I had injected into my glabella too. So I had Daxxify here, and then I had Botox here and here. I didn't inject Daxxify into the corners of my mouth just in case I didn't like it. I didn't want it to last 6 months. Yeah. But because I do like it, next time I may go for that. The problem with it is obviously if you get a result you're not happy with, it's going to last longer. Yeah. It's been around for a long time. The thing with Daxxify that's really gotten me, it's a company called Revance, and like I said, it's been around a long time. I bought stock in it like long time ago, like literally like 10 or 12 years ago or something.
Oh wow.
At like it was like $26 or $30, and I'm like, oh, they've got these things and the testing and like all of my investments. So it started at $30. I bought high. It's like at $3 right now. Like I've literally lost 90% of my investment in Revance, and they better pay it back by making this product really good, because man, I think of all the investments I've ever had, like this is the one I think I may have lost the most in, and we're anyways. Yeah, so get on it, Revance. Okay, another thing I want to just briefly mention, if you follow my social media, I recently had a calcium score. Do you know what that is, Desiree?
Kinda.
Yeah, you're too young. You don't have to worry about it.
I know it tests for something.
That's all right. So when you get old, like myself, and I do recommend people, once you're over the age of like around 40 to 50, this is something that a good friend of mine, Dr. Joel Kahn, he's a plant-based cardiologist, recommends, is the calcium score is basically a CAT scan, a CT, where you CT your heart and you look for hard plaque, like calcified plaque.
Okay.
And they'll give you a number score from like 0 up to like in the hundreds. And if you have 0, that means that there's 0 hard plaque there. If you've got 200, that means you've got a significant amount of hard plaque, and that could be a sign that you're at risk of a heart attack in the future.
Okay.
And so it's something that I encourage people. It's not foolproof in that there are some people who have soft plaque. That's a sign of like more acute inflammation that can create a heart attack situation in them. So it's not going to be the be all end all, but it's a nice, easy way to tell whether you may be at risk of having a heart attack. And so, who are the people who have the highest risk? Well, obviously, as you get older. And for me, that's something I want to just check because, if I did have a high calcium score, then I would potentially make changes in my diet and lifestyle to accommodate for that. And so luckily I was a 0.
Perfect.
But if you have somebody like, if you've got a family member who has a history of heart disease and maybe they don't know. And the good thing I think that you have to realize is that you are not, your genes are not going to dictate your future health. And a lot of people think, oh, well, my dad had a heart attack when he was 55. My grandpa had a heart attack when he was 50. So I'm just going to assume I'm going to have one too. So I'll just do whatever. And the answer is no, that's not the case. Literally, it's a concept called epigenetics. And it's the fact that really it's an 80-20 rule where your genes will dictate about 20% of your health, of your appearance and stuff like that. And the other 80% is how you live your life is going to dictate how those genes express themselves. And so if, let's say, your father had a heart attack at the age of 50, but your father also ate, a ton of ultra-processed foods, eating way too much red meats and stuff like that, and let's say smoked and had bad lifestyle, then the epigenetics is going to go in the direction of having that heart attack early. But these types of tests, like the calcium score, it just is a way to get a baseline knowledge of where you are, so that you can potentially, before you have that event, you may be able to change your lifestyle to help prevent it. And so, how old are your parents?
My dad's 63, and my mom's, she just had a birthday, 54. So
so there would be people who would be probably, somebody who you would talk with your family doc or your cardiologist and be like, hey, is this something I should do? But definitely if you've got heart disease in your family, or if you're just sort of like, dang, I used to smoke when I was younger and I, don't have don't have the best lifestyle, and you want to see where you're at, then talk with your doctor about getting a calcium score. It literally is like $100 or $200. It's like a 5-minute CT scan.
Oh, wow, it's fast.
Yeah, super easy. Insurances often will not cover it though, so you may have to pay out of pocket. So anyways, just a couple of things I wanted to bring up that have been on my mind that I've been sharing recently. So on this podcast, we're going to talk about some kind of hot topics in plastic surgery. We're going to kind of shift over. And some of these are going to be kind of funny, and some of these will be kind of interesting. And we hope that you find that it may open your eyes to some new thoughts in plastic surgery and stuff like that. So there's something that went viral, and I actually had a viral video about this called the BBL smell.
Oh my God.
The BBL smell. Or if you actually go on TikTok, you could search BBLs be stinking. I think it's the search term. BBLs be stinking. And it's this idea that if you have a BBL, there are people who are reporting, and typically these are men who are reporting this,
Of course.
that women who have BBL surgeries smell funky back there afterwards.
Okay.
And there's all these different hypotheses about why that could be. So I'll ask you, Desiree, as somebody who, I don't know if you've thought much about the BBL smell, if this has been on your mind.
I can't say it
if
has
you have
been.
been analyzing the BBL smell and trying to figure out what is it from. So if somebody's asking you, hey, I think that you're out with your friends, and somebody's like, hey, I have a friend of mine who, man, after getting the BBL, she kind of smells. Like, what do you think would be a cause of the BBL smell? Because there are people out there with all different hypotheses, and then I'll tell you what I think afterwards.
I mean, I feel like if you're healing the right way, you might not smell. But so like when I hear smell, I might think of like infection.
Infection?
Like
Okay.
maybe they're not taking care of the wound, or like not the wound, the stitching, whatever, like the right way. Because I don't know how that looks when it's supposed to like heal.
So some people are saying that it's due to seepage and what they call it, secretions.
Okay.
Or I think they call it excretions or secretions. I don't know. That some people claim that you will get secretions months afterwards, and that's very normal.
Okay.
Now, you've seen a lot of my patients before surgery. You don't see a
Yes.
lot of them post-op.
No.
Usually it's the nurses and the MA that comes with me. But that's like, so one of the hypotheses is, oh yeah, whenever you get a BBL, you're going to seep from your wounds for months, which is so not true. Like once your incision should close, and it's very common to get some drainage for a couple of days. That's very normal. But like a week later, a month later, 2 months later, there's something wrong if that's happening.
Yeah.
And just like you said, it's like an infection. But that's got to be like not common. Like you can't have like all these people having infected butts walking around. So I don't think that that's the case. One person said that it's due to fat necrosis. Fat necrosis essentially is when you have fat that you inject, let's say, into the butt. So a BBL, for those people who maybe wonder, like, what are they talking about? What's a BBL? BBL is Brazilian butt lift. And this is an operation where you liposuction fat from the tummy or the hips or the thighs, purify the fat, and then inject it into the butt. And it is the most common way to make the butt larger. It's a very common operation, done a ton out in Florida. I don't do it anymore. There are some risks with it as far as death, unfortunately. But that's what a BBL is. Very common thing. And now they're talking about BBL baddies. Have you heard the term BBL baddie?
I think so, yeah.
So the BBL baddie, I guess, is a woman who's had a BBL who's, I guess, at the club and twerking and dancing.
Yep, she's
they
bad.
call them, yeah,
she's
they're,
good.
they're baddies, yeah. Okay, so what else could be causing it? So somebody was saying fat necrosis is so you inject the fat dies and it liquefies, and then they say, oh, this is liquefied dead fat that's seeping out through the incisions, which, yes, fat necrosis can happen. You see it even with breast reduction surgery, but usually fat necrosis will either liquefy and the body will absorb it, or it will actually harden into a mass. So you could technically get a BBL, get fat necrosis, and get like a hard like lump, like literally as hard as a rock in there.
Oh my gosh.
Because it can calcify. But that's not going to cause smell, okay? Unless it gets infected, but now we're talking about infection, and that's just not common. So what else can cause a BBL smell? I think probably, honestly, the most common. So the other hypothesis is, and there was one guy who went online and it's like, well, when somebody gets a BBL, and you make the butt bigger, and they've got like 20 to 40 pounds more of butt cheeks. And he goes, so, they may start out weighing 150 pounds, but now that afterwards they weigh 180 pounds, and that's all in their butt. And of course it's, it's not gonna, it's gonna be hard to clean and stuff like that. But the fact is that it's not a transplant. You're not taking fat from somebody else and adding it to your body. You're taking it from part of your body and then putting it into another part of your body. So you're not gaining weight from it.
No.
And that's the funny thing is people are like, oh yeah, they're going to gain 20 pounds with the BBL. Like, no, like it's not like you take an implant that's 20 pounds, which there's no implants for 20 pounds, and you put it in you. So that's not the case. I think though, in the end, the BBL smell, it's just like not being clean.
Yeah.
And it may be harder to wipe back there because you're just not used to cleaning back there. And then there's some people who think it might be the garment. And if you're still wearing that garment and you're not washing it, then that could be real stinky.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's the BBL smell.
Ew.
We'll end with ew. Okay, so interesting thing, Jennifer Aniston is 55. Sandra Bullock, I think, is probably around the same age. And both of them were caught leaving a plastic surgeon's office recently. Ooh. And there was a lot of speculation about what they may have had. Have you looked at their faces recently, Desiree?
I can't say I have, just because I'm not the biggest fan of Jennifer Aniston. My sister grew up watching Friends all the time, all day, every day. And just hearing her voice and just looking at her just makes me so irritated.
Really?
Yeah, so I cannot say I have seen what she looks like recently.
Have you seen The Daily Show?
No.
Have you seen The Daily Show?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it a great show?
It's a great show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so The Daily Show, she's in it. Great show. No, it's not The Daily Show. It's a morning show. Yeah, Daily Show is Comedy Central. Yeah. But she's on the morning show with Reese Witherspoon. And I've never met Jennifer Aniston. I've never seen her. On the morning show, it definitely looks like she's had a good amount of filler. She definitely has had, I think, some Botox, but from what I can tell, I'm not her doctor, so this is all speculation, my opinion. But I think overall she looks really good. I mean, she's 55. But I'll tell you, I know you don't like her, but I have a little story for you. My sister is a veterinarian in Hollywood.
Okay.
And for a couple of years, she took care of Jennifer Aniston's dogs.
Oh, wow.
And she had a dog that I think she may have rescued, and the dog got really old. And my sister basically got on the phone with her and kind of walked her through what they'll have to do to put her to sleep. And she said that she was so sweet and that she was crying and that she just was like the nicest person and cared so much about this dog. And then when the holidays came around, she sent my sister like a really nice gift.
Oh, wow.
So everything that I heard about Jennifer Aniston, and I guess she gave gifts, like she's so generous that I know you can't stand her, but like everything that I've heard about her from my sister, and that's the only, like, one person is the only, has been like really, really nice. And then there's Sandra Bullock, who left that office with her. And Sandra Bullock, also my brother, a long time ago, she was in a movie called While You Were Sleeping. Did you see that?
No.
Justin's seen it. It's an older movie, but my brother was an extra in it and said that she was really, really nice. So I don't think that they've had any major plastic surgery. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, did they have a facelift? Like, what surgery did they have done? And I think people have to realize that there's so much more. Like here in our office, that's non-surgical, and like 90% of the people who come in and out of our office don't have surgery.
Right.
You know, they get Botox, they get filler, they get lasers and stuff. And so I think it's possible that they had maybe some peels or some IPL and stuff like that, but maybe a little filler, Botox. But yeah, I think people are making more of it than it really is.
Yeah.
Okay, another big story is this idea of preventative Botox. And it's Botox being done on young people, typically in their 20s, to prevent wrinkles. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What are your thoughts about preventative Botox, Desiree?
I mean, I feel like everybody's obviously different. I feel like social media plays a lot into how people feel about themselves, sadly. So I don't know if like people my age are like insecure and they want to get the preventative Botox to like not turn out to like, I don't know, you see older people and they're all wrinkly, but that happens. Like we all age. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like if you want it, go ahead and get it. I don't feel like it's going to be like that harmful to you. And it's not like it lasts forever. It wears off. So like if you're wanting to try it, I say try it. It's not going to do anything.
What did you do before you worked here?
I worked at a doctor's office doing like medical record stuff.
And did you ever have Botox before working here?
Never.
Did you ever think about Botox?
Kinda. I was just insecure about my forehead wrinkles, but like I was like, oh, everybody has them. It's fine. And when I first got it here, I was like, let's just try it. I didn't like want it because like everybody else had it. I was like, let's just see how
long did it take for you working here where you're like, screw it, I'll get the Botox. Let's try it.
Like only a month.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
I think employees should work here like 6 months before they start getting free stuff.
I mean, I think I started
I'm
in
joking.
July and I first got it in August. So yeah, like at the end of August.
Okay.
I don't know. Everybody just talks so highly of it. I was like, I just want to try it. I want to have
And
like
what'd
my
you
own
think?
opinion.
Were
I
you
like
good?
it.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got mixed feelings. I think, how old are you now?
26.
26, okay. I'm seriously almost double her age. That is so depressing. Oh my God. The good thing is that I'm not as old as her parents, though,
Yeah.
so that's good.
You're in the clear.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings because I do think that if people do Botox long enough, you get antibodies to it and you get resistance to it. Now, it may not, it may not happen for a long time. And you're not doing a lot of it, but that's one of my big concerns is that if people start too early, when they're like my age and they actually need it, not that you technically need it, but you want it more because you have more wrinkles, is it going to work as well for you? Or will it have, you have kind of like, used up the amount of Botox that you can do, and then and your body develops antibodies and it's not as effective. So we do see in some people that if they've been doing it for many, many years, that it doesn't seem to, in some people, work quite as well. But also then there's a question. So that's my main issue with it is like, are we doing an unnecessary cosmetic procedure on somebody who doesn't need it because they don't have wrinkles? If you do have wrinkles there, then that's different. And so for you, you're like, oh yeah, I've got wrinkles in my forehead, so I'm treating it because I don't like seeing them.
Yeah.
Versus there are people who are having it done who are like, they have no wrinkles, but they want to prevent them. And that's where I'm like, when you start seeing them show up, if you want to target it, then I think that makes sense. But if you don't have them yet, then you could be screwing yourself in the future when you actually might need it.
Yeah, you might want to just hold off.
Yeah. So like for you, if you're like, oh yeah, I don't have any crow's feet, well then don't inject them. Like,
that's why I
wait
haven't
until
done
you
it
start
there.
seeing them before you do it. That's kind of my thing with it. Now, hopefully by the time, you get to my age, which is like 20, like 20 freaking 50, it's 2050 that she's going to be my age. That's crazy. Maybe we'll have something better at that point. And you're not going to have to be injecting yourself anyway.
Yeah.
So that would be the hope. Okay, so that's my feeling with the whole preventative Botox thing. And so now let's go even younger. There are tween girls who are going to Sephora, who are obsessed with skincare, who are doing all these things with their skin. What are your thoughts on that? Because that now is also getting in the news.
I think, isn't it like harmful? They're all getting like the retinols and like things that have like strong like acids in it. Like, aren't they like harming their skin in a sense?
What did you do with your skin when you were like 14 years old? Do you remember?
Just used like face wash, like Clean and Clear with like the acne burst that had like the little beads in it.
Yeah.
Like that's all I did. I didn't think about retinols or any of the acids, none of that stuff. Yeah,
I think it's the social media thing. It's all the influencers with their skincare lines and stuff like that. I have mixed feelings. I think, so when I grew up, I mean, but you don't want to even look at a picture of me when I was 14. That's like embarrassing. If I was using skincare, then that would have been great. At the time, I think I probably had a bowl cut and like I had these big old glasses, and my appearance was not important at that time. That's for damn sure. But my kid, so I have a daughter who's 16, and so I do get free products here just from companies sent in. So I bring them home, and she uses it. And honestly, at least a third of the time, like she tries something new and it breaks her out.
Yeah.
And like, what do you even need? Like, I don't have her, I don't encourage her to use these things. But my feeling with that whole tween skincare thing is, in general, I think it's good to encourage people to take care of their skin, and so like cleansing your skin with a good cleanser instead of bar soap, which is what I used, growing up, moisturizing your skin, especially in the dry climate. Definitely sunscreen especially when you're going out, I think is great. And then I think just getting in the practice of taking care of your skin.
Yeah.
And obviously if you've got acne, then, doing salicylic acid and stuff like that, I think all that's great. But I agree with you, like the anti-aging treatments, no reason.
Need it.
Yeah, no reason. You've got beautiful skin. Having them do all these, any types of like peels or even like doing all these like multiple steps just isn't necessary. No. And so I think that there's like a happy medium there somewhere where like you can encourage them to, to be skin healthy and to be appropriately proactive with taking care of the skin.
Yeah, and using the right things.
Yeah, but I agree. But at the same time, I think one of the things I always tell my followers is that if you've got issues with your skin, the first thing you may want to do is not think about what to add to your skincare plan, but what should you take out? Because sometimes it's just you're using too many actives. And you've got too many products going on your skin, and especially if you've got drugstore brand products, and some of these have all these different preservatives and ingredients that you don't really need on your skin, and they start reacting together, and now you're getting itching and all that.
Yeah.
First thing I usually recommend if you've got issues with skin is to pare it down to the basics. Cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen, and then like an antioxidant serum like a vitamin C in the morning, and then let your skin just give it time to rest for a while until it kind of gets back to that normal range. And then if you want to add stuff, that's what I usually do, recommend. Okay. So yeah, I think we're on the same page with that. Okay, this is kind of an interesting thing. Some men are having plastic surgery to get chiseled G.I. Joe jawlines. Do you know who G.I. Joe is?
Yeah, I know him as like the Barbie doll, G.I. Joe.
Yeah. No, so that's so G.I. Joe's actually, it was a good question because the fact is that's like a character that's been, so Justin, our producer, is laughing at her.
I don't know. It's just all what I know him as.
Yeah, no, that's good. So G.I. Joe's been around for like, I don't know. I would say when I grew up, he's been around for 50 years. So probably it's been around for like 80 years or something now. And it was literally, I think the first G.I. Joes were like Barbie doll size. And then they became fairly small when I was a kid because they had these G.I. Joe cartoons and stuff. But basically what it is this like ultra chiseled jawline where doctors are doing liposuction to the jawline. They're adding filler to the jaw. They're putting chin implants in. You are a heterosexual female.
Yes.
And you like guys. Do you like a strong chiseled jawline in a guy like what I have? Or or do you prefer more of a softer jawline?
I mean, I don't want it to be like so sharp to like cut you. But it's like,
do you find that attractive? Like if let's say you were dating a guy and he had kind of a small chin and And then like he goes on vacation, he comes back and his like jawline's like snatched, you know, like he's all like, yeah, look at this.
I don't know if I'd like that, honestly. Maybe
Not
just,
sure?
I don't know. I've never really thought about it, if I'm being honest.
So that's something that I guess a lot of guys are having done now. There's also this belief that if you do, have you heard of mewing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there are people who are, and there's this thing I guess the kids are going now where it's like they're mewing and then they like, shh, and then they go like this with like, you know, like looking at their jawline. So that's something you'd have to watch on the video, but it's a Gen Z where the mewing basically is this belief that if you elevate the tongue to your roof of your mouth and you do that chronically, that it will give you a more chiseled jawline. And there's this belief that even though I go online and I debunk it, it doesn't matter. You get like all these dudes and they're probably incels all going out saying, no, it works, it works, it works. But it doesn't. It doesn't give you a chiseled jawline. Yeah.
Have you seen Zac Efron lately?
Yes.
Do you think he had like a G.I. Joe jawline thing?
So, you know, this is something I'll admit I was wrong. When he first came out, I was like, he probably just had his wisdom teeth taken out or something like that, and it's going to get back to normal. So if you've seen Zac Efron, he's got this like, his jawline's a lot wider and stuff.
Yeah, and his chin is really wide,
Yeah,
too.
people are like, oh, he's had filler. And I'm like, no, everybody, it's just probably he got, and I was wrong because it's still like that.
Yeah. That's what he said, but like, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I
don't
thought he
know.
looked fine before, but
It literally looks almost like he's got like, you ever see people who are dipping snuff and they've got like this thing in their mouth and they walk around or just, it almost looks a little like that on both, where it's just like it's fuller and it's odd. And I mean, I guess maybe he had some filler done there. It's possible he had a chin implant. I just can't imagine he would do that. He's such a good looking guy.
So maybe it was an accident. Something happened to him. I don't know.
Then that would get back, like he'd be swollen and get back to normal. So I initially thought that he had something happen, like, you know, something with his dental or whatever, and that it would get back to normal, and it never did. So obviously he had something done there.
Yeah.
The other thing you think, oh, maybe he gained weight, but no, like he's not. Yeah. So yeah, it's still a mystery. I don't think that anybody really. I mean, if you had to guess now, you'd have to say, yeah, he either has implants or a filler, because
something done.
Because if this was some natural issue, it would have gone, you know, away by now.
Right.
He'd look like the old Zac Efron. So. So speaking of celebrities, Megan Fox went on a podcast, Call Your Daddy, and she admitted to getting plastic surgery done. She admitted to getting her breasts done multiple times, going from smaller to bigger, which is not uncommon, especially in models and stuff like that. And she claimed she had one nose job a long time ago. And then she said she's had filler and Botox, which is not surprising. But she said she's gatekeeping an operation, and there's been speculation about what she is gatekeeping. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Honestly, no. If anything, I feel like she's gotten her nose done more than once, but like that's not really gatekeeping, I guess. I don't know. But I don't think anything like extreme.
I think though she meant that there's a procedure she had done that she hadn't mentioned yet, and that she didn't want people to know. And why she was gatekeeping, is it like such a special operation? Is it like a embarrassing operation? So speculation has revolved, from what I have seen, around two different procedures.
Okay.
Labiaplasty and eyebrow hair transplants.
Okay.
Okay, so eyebrow hair transplants, a lot of people, when she had first started, she had very thin brows. 'Cause I think she got big in the earlier 2000s.
Yeah.
And at that point, everybody was having these really thin brows.
Yeah, that was the trend.
And in general, if you shave your brows, then your brow hair should grow back. This is something that I was talking with my buddy Gary Linkov on a YouTube video about, and he's a big hair transplant guy. It's not my thing. But if you pluck them, then there's a risk that it may not come back.
Yeah.
And so if, let's say, she had those eyebrows plucked or lasered or something like that back in the early 2000s, the only other way to grow those back technically would be to hair transplant them.
Okay.
And so usually what you do is you take hair, let's say, from the back of the head, and you would transplant them to the eyebrows. But the problem with transplanting hair to the eyebrows is that hair does not stop growing when you think about it. Okay. So your eyebrows and your eyelashes, the hair, genetically, that hair is meant to only grow so long, and then it stops growing. Otherwise, we'd have lashes that would be like down to our cheeks and stuff. Same with the eyebrows. But if you take hair from the back of your head and you put it there, that hair does not have that genetic tendency to stop growing at a certain point, and it will keep growing, which is interesting. And people have even done pubic hair transplants where then I would assume that hair gets all like curly and like gross that way. So that's one of the things that they have thought. I think she's gatekeeping labiaplasty. Do you know what labiaplasty is? Because we don't do it here in this office. Yeah. So labiaplasty is an operation where essentially you're doing surgery on the female private parts. And I just recorded a podcast on that, and I'm not sure if it's going to come out before or after this one. I think it's going to come out in a couple weeks from this one, so take a peek at it. But when it comes out, but essentially what it is it's surgery to trim the labia minora, kind of like the skin down there. And that is a procedure that is not uncommon. I don't do it here at Youn Plastic Surgery because I just don't feel comfortable doing it, and it's just not my deal. But it is something that is not uncommon, and that's something that would kind of make sense if she just doesn't want to tell people about it, that maybe it could be labiaplasty. Okay. All right, final story I want to talk about is there was a study, and I made a TikTok video on this I thought was really interesting, on what size lips you prefer. So you have done, you mentioned you had some Botox lip flip to your lips. You've not had filler.
Nope.
Lip filler injections are pretty common nowadays. They're painful, but they do give results for 6 months, sometimes longer. But the question is what do people prefer? So if you were to, I could ask you, like, why haven't you had your lips done? Do you prefer smaller lips, bigger lips? Like, what do you think looks good in general?
I think it honestly just depends on everybody's face. Like, I feel like I feel like my lips look okay. I feel like I don't need filler, but like if somebody had like really thin lips and like made it, like they were insecure about it, they could do it. But it's like, I don't get why people do like Kylie Jenner type lips.
Do you see people come into this office occasionally and they have lips that are, they want them to look augmented.
Yeah.
They look augmented. Do you like that in general, or you feel like
some people can pull it off, but I feel like most people don't.
So this study basically looked at two different things, asking people what size lips they prefer, and they did an interesting part of it where they measured how long people looked at certain lips. So like there was one endpoint was what people preferred, and the other endpoint was what they looked at the longest.
Okay.
And then they basically had photos of a woman with different size lips from 100%, which is basically her normal size. And this is a younger woman, so this is somebody like your age. This wasn't somebody who's like 60 years old who's lost volume in their lips already. So they're already relatively full just naturally. And then they went like 10% smaller and then like 30% smaller, and then 10% bigger and like 30% bigger. Okay. And what they found was that, what do you think would be the most popular size as far as what people preferred?
I would say probably close to the bigger, maybe. Like the 10% bigger, not like the 30%.
So the one that people preferred was the normal size.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which once again, normal size for this younger, attractive woman.
Okay.
So that was what they preferred. The least preferred was the 130%, was the most augmented.
Wow. Okay.
Followed by the negative 30%, which those two are very close. So people didn't like them really thin and they didn't like them really thick. But which one do you think people stared at the longest, though? Even though they may not have been their favorite or least favorite, but whatever. What do you think they stared at the longest?
Maybe the normal ones.
The one that they stared at the longest was the one that was the most plump.
Oh, I'm really good at guessing.
So in the end, what it means is that if you want to, I guess what you can take away from this study, which take as it is. I mean, everybody's lips have, whether some people look great with smaller lips, some people look great with big, whatever. Whatever floats your boat. Yeah. You do that. It's your own body, and whatever makes you happy, then by all means do that. But the takeaway kind of from the study was that people consider, in general, most attractive lips are normal size lips. But once again, normal size lips in somebody like of your age in their 20s. What they found, however, got the most attention are big plumped up lips. Okay. And so if people want people staring at them, they want attention. Let's say you're an Instagram influencer and you want people to stare at your videos and your photos, then making your lips bigger might actually help with that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I appreciate you coming on with me today. This is just a number of different things that I thought would be kind of fun for us to chat about. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, definitely let me know. Leave us a comment on our social media channels. And if you have any interesting stories too, leave us a comment with any type of links, and we'll try to share that as well. Otherwise, as usual, everybody, remember to eat real food, use clean skincare, and auto-juvenate before you operate.